So let me take just a few more minutes and tell you about the most thrilling and exciting and challenging and heartwarming mission that I ever flew, where an even greater team effort resulted in a much greater victory. And it was the rescue of Roger Locher, L-O-C-H-E-R. Roger Locher was shot down on the 10th of May in 1972, and for 22 days there was no word. We carry survival radios right here in our survival vest, one on each side, lots of extra batteries, because there's no way to make that rescue without the communication link. Proper communication, so important in every single thing that we do, every day, all day long, isn't it? Think about the problems caused, the time, the money, the effort, the resources wasted by miscommunication. It's unbelievable. We went back in that afternoon and called on the radio. There was no answer. Went in for days thereafter. There was never any reply. We finally decided that he must have been killed or captured. Yet he never came out on the captured list that the North Vietnamese like to publish every few days. Well, 22 days later, we were flying in the same area. There was a break in the radio chatter. You can imagine with 20 or 30 airplanes all on the same frequency, all trying to talk at the same time, particularly when they're shooting at you. It does get a little busy, would you guess? And I've got a few seconds of tape to give you a feel for what it sounds like under those circumstances. Now, this will be a hearing test, and that's part of the demonstration. At last transmission, this is T-ball on guard. Be advised we have blue bandits crossing into Laos at this time. They should be high altitude. All aircraft heads up. Blue bandit being a MiG-21. Anyone understand that? No. All right. I'm going to play that last segment over and listen very carefully and see if you can hear some of the words. This is T-ball on guard. Emergency frequency. It's T-ball on guard. Be advised we have blue bandits crossing into Laos at this time. They should be high altitude. All aircraft heads up. You could hear some of the words? Kind of like another language, isn't it? Points out the importance of understanding the language of your business. Every business, every organization, every activity has a language of its own, right? We don't have any attorneys or accountants in here, do we? You never can figure out what those people are talking about. Anyway, there's a break in the radio chatter. Call comes over the air. Any Allied aircraft? This is Oyster 01 Bravo. I remember thinking Oyster. We don't have an Oyster call sign today. Then we realized that's Roger Locher. We answered him. This is exactly what he said. He said, guys, I've been down here a long time. Any chance of picking me up? Pretty cool, huh? I don't believe I'd have been that cool after 22 days, do you? We said, you bet. You bet. Went back to our respective bases that afternoon, quickly planned a rescue mission. We came back in. It was 5 miles off the end of the runway at Yen Bai Airfield, some 60 miles northwest of Hanoi. The deepest rescue ever attempted. But the ground fire from around Yen Bai was so heavy that we had to back off. We couldn't get him out. Went home that night, as you can imagine, we're pretty down, pretty frustrated. This is our friend. This is someone most of us knew very well. He was on his third combat tour, over 400 combat missions. Not only did we admire him and respect him greatly, but he was one of the neatest young men that many of us ever met. Now we'd found him. After all this time, now we knew where he was, and we couldn't get him out. Of course, now they knew where he was, and very soon he would be captured. Well, the next morning, in one of the great examples, in my opinion, of courageous combat leadership, General John Vogt, VOGT, the 4-star commander of 7th Air Force in Saigon, in consultation with General Fred Wyan, the Army commander, canceled the entire strike mission to Hanoi and dedicated all of the resources, over 150 airplanes, to the rescue of Roger Locher. We went in for about 2 hours. We made sure that the guns at Yanbai Airfield were silenced. Then a young 27-year-old Air Force Academy graduate, Captain Dale Stovall, class of '67, commanded the lead of 2 Jolly Green John helicopters. And Nelson, I'm always so proud to tell this story because, you see, Dale was a freshman when I was a senior at the Air Force Academy. Well, you guessed it, I had a little bit to do with his summer training program his first year. Dale commanded the lead of those 2 Jolly Greens. The PJs came in, sent the jungle penetrator down through a heavy canopy of trees, and snatched Roger Locher as he was about to be captured. Selected full power, pulled him out of the jungle into the helicopter. They headed out. We flew cover for the 2 Jolly Greens, their C-130 refueling tankers, as they made their way out of North Vietnam. Brought him all the way back to Udon, Thailand. General Vogt flew up in a T-39 from Saigon and was the first of several hundred of us to meet him as he stepped off that chopper after 23 days. The flight surgeons, the doctors, the nurses, the medics, the chaplains quickly took him off to the hospital. But they did say he could come to the club that night. 1900 hours, 7 p.m. for 30 minutes, and the word spread. And the club was totally jam-packed. And at 7 p.m., Roger Locher, washed, fed, shaven, and dressed in a uniform that we used to call our party suit, walked in the front door. Applause broke out that lasted for over 20 minutes as he made his way through the crowd, shaking hands with friends. A magnificent experience of human emotion, an incredible victory, a total force joint rescue victory against all odds with no losses. And when we think about that and analyze it and compare it, say, to the theme of that movie, Platoon, which suggested that we shoot each other in the back. And then we come to fully understand the effort to which we will go, the resources we will commit, the risk that we will take to rescue one crew member, one American, one ally. Isn't it a very powerful statement about what kind of people we are? About the value that we place on life, on freedom, and on the individual. And about the marketplace in which we all operate, which is defined by tremendous respect for the individual and for economic freedom. Of course, as you well know, without economic freedom, we ultimately lose all other freedom. See, President Scott, this is what I believe it's about. The real mission, yours and mine, business, government, civilian, military, is to protect and preserve an environment, a climate, a system, a way of life where people can be free to reach their full potential.